For today's video, I'd like to talk about the Sedin twins, arguably the two greatest players to ever wear a Canucks jersey, and their future. With their contracts ending at the end of the season and the future of the Canucks no longer resting on the shoulders of the Sedin twins, let's talk about three potential options that could happen. The first possibility I'd like to talk about is they either get traded at the deadline or they sign in free agency somewhere else. This is the least likeliest of the three, as they have made it clear that this is their home and they don't want to play anywhere other than Vancouver. They're at the point in their lives where they can't just think about themselves. They both have wives and children who are comfortable living in Vancouver. Now, in no way should this be viewed as a lack of desire to win. They are still competitors. You hear so many stories about how the twins come into camp every year in the best shape of the team, always competing against each other to become better. Joe Thornton, a Pacific Division rival and one of the best passers the league has ever seen, extremely admires the competitiveness of the Sedin twins. They seem to be at ease with the fact that maybe their moment to win has passed, and now they're in the mentality of giving back to a franchise that has given them so much by mentoring the next generation. They feel so strongly about Vancouver because Brian Burke and the organization went above and beyond to ensure that the twins could play together at the NHL level, something that they never thought would happen. They love Vancouver and we love the twins. So we know that Jim Benning has openly said that he would love to have the Sedins back next year, but what if he isn't our GM next year? What if a new GM comes in and says, you know what? We don't see a future with the Sedin twins, we won't re-sign you. Or what if the Sedin twins don't think they can physically stand up to another season in the NHL? Well, scenario number two is that the twins retire. Maybe they take on a front office role, maybe they step away from the game of hockey, but what does that mean for the Vancouver Canucks? For starters, it would officially mark the beginning of a Brock Boeser-led Canucks era. And I say that with all due respect to Bo Horvat. He is most likely the future captain of this team, but Brock Boeser is the face of this franchise. Unless, of course, we acquire a certain Rasmus Dahlin, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Canucks would truly be able to bottom out in the standings, as the Twins are still good enough to not let this team become Arizona Coyotes bad. Of course, this comes with its own pros and cons, and it's hard to speculate as a lot of things can happen between now and next season. Benning may sign more stopgaps in free agency. We could luck out and draft a player who could have an immediate impact in the NHL next year. One of our prospects could take a huge leap and become an actual Calder Trophy favorite. A lot can happen, but I think the safe assumption to make is that next year, without the Sedin twins, the Canucks won't be winning a ton of games. If it weren't for the injuries to key players this year, I think we'd be a bit higher in the standings, almost purgatory, so to speak, but the thought of Jack Hughes next year might make truly being bad palatable. Lastly, let's talk about option number three, which I think is the most likely and where the Sedins re-sign for next year. The Twins are showing that they are still highly capable players in today's NHL, and this is where you start to have to weigh the pros of having two unbelievable leaders and mentors and the cons of not being a surefire bottom-feeding team. Like I mentioned before, the Sedins exude work ethic. In the summers, they wake up at 5 a.m. and bike from downtown to the North Shore and then go up the grouse grind. Like, I get tired getting out of my bed and making breakfast in the morning. I can't imagine that as a morning routine. Seeing that type of work ethic and commitment to improve day in and day out has to do wonders when you're first starting in this league as a rookie. I know for a fact it's had a huge impact on Bo Horvat and Brock Boeser, but think about the kind of impact it could have on a guy like Elias Pettersson. Being able to learn the nuances of the North American game and learning how to be a pro from two of the best Swedish hockey players ever would be huge. Thomas Gradin, the Canucks' head Swedish scout responsible for the Sedin twins, Alex Edler, and now Elias Pettersson, has even said that if it were up to him this year, Elias Pettersson and Jonathan Dahlin would be on the team learning from the Sedin twins. I'm expecting to see a lot of parallels between the early careers of Elias Pettersson and Henrik and Daniel Sedin. Labeled as too soft and too easy to play against at the beginning of their career, the Sedins had to work extra hard on the physical sides of their game in order to succeed at the NHL level. It wasn't until their fifth season that the twins became superstars. The way they handled themselves in the early goings of their career when faced with adversity is also admirable. Brendan Morrison respected the twins after their rookie year due to their mental toughness. It would be huge for EP's development if the Sedin twins are still with the team in some capacity when he crosses over the ocean. So what would a contract look like for them next year? They probably want to take it year by year, so there's the term, but what value amount would they want? This year, Henrik has 32 points in 46 games, and Daniel has 30 in 45. That's a 70 and 67 point pace respectively, including a slow October start. Lately, the Twins have been producing at a near point per game pace, proving that they can still play in this league at a high level. It's honestly unbelievable. So monetary value, I don't know where to begin. They're currently making 7 mil each, and I think a lot of people are expecting them to take a lot less in their next contract. Hometown discount or being great human beings aside, let's actually look at what players of their age and production are worth. Historical comparisons aren't abundant, but let's look at Joe Thornton, who just signed a 1-year, $8 million deal at the age of 38. This was coming off a 50-point season in 79 games. That's pretty wild, and I don't think the Sedins will be asking for that much. Patrick Marleau signed for 3 years at $6.25 million per at the age of 38 after a 46-point campaign in 82 games. Now let's say that the Twins cool off and finish the season with 45 to 50 points. Based off these two contracts, you're looking at somewhere between $6 to $8 million depending on the term. But like I said, the Twins are amazing human beings and only want 1 year, so I would say it's fair to say that they'll be asking anywhere between $4 to $5 million. Yeah, those are pricey third liners, but the Canucks have the cap space and they're not going to be competitive, so who are they going to sign in free agency that can put up 45 points given third line minutes? This would still leave a little over $20 million to sign Berchi, Granlund, Virtanen, Stetcher, and Pouliot, and there's no way you're telling me that those 5 have an average value of $4 million. So that's how I feel about the Sedin Twins going into next year. I'd love to have them back. I'm also curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, so leave me a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting subscribe and joining me on this Canucks journey, as well as some other prospect stuff. If you really liked the video, you can let me know by leaving a like, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.